What's up, guys and girls? Shell Techno here, coming at you with a little bit of fastener identification for our first bolt as a test. So I gave you a bolt and I gave you a fastener indicator and told you to figure it out. And the first thing we would do with this fastener indicator is try and find which hole it fits into. And of course, 1/2 inch fits nice. 14, actually it fits in 14 too, so I'm not quite sure yet. 14 or maybe it's 1/2 inch. What else could I use for a clue? Well, I can use those indicator markings on the head here, and if I use my Bolt Depot fastener type chart, can I borrow yours for a second? My head indicators on the bolt would tell me that it is probably a standard bolt. US bolt marking, it's a grade 5. So that's another indicator that it's probably going the 1/2 inch way as far as hole diameter. So I've got a 1/2 inch diameter bolt. As far as the length goes, in order to use this properly, I would have to go to the bottom of the bolt head like this, and it would tell me that it's 1.5 inches. Another way I could do that is to measure with a ruler. Go from here to the 1.5 inch mark on the ruler. So I know the length of the bolt is 1.5 inches. How do I figure out the thread pitch? I could line up 1 inch of measurement on my ruler and actually count threads on this. This doesn't want to focus on here. Or I could use this gauge on the back side where it says United States threads. It also has metric threads. And if I count up from here, 40 is to that one, so I go all the way up somewhere in here, and I could match these up and try and see if they line up properly. Now this, in my opinion, is not the best system because it's really difficult to get things to line up. There we go. And it would line up with the 13. What's one other way I can determine this? Theron, one other way I can determine this on this tool. If it's a 1/2 inch bolt, how am I going to figure out how many threads per inch it is?
You look at the key.
There is a key, technical reading. So the diameter is right here in inches. It should say diameter, but it doesn't. If I've got a 1/2 inch diameter bolt, then my only options are a 13 thread per inch or a 20 thread per inch. United National Coarse, United National Fine. So I could determine by some rough estimating here that there's 13 threads per inch, not 20. So I would know that this is a 1/2 inch diameter, 13 threads per inch, 1.5 inch length. Hex head for the style or the drive style. I know that it's a grade 5 and that it's, the only thing I don't know is plating. And looking at this chart in color here, which one does it look like? Well, it's zinc plated. I know that from experience. So what does the answer look like? What should your written answer look like? It should be similar to what we see here, but for this particular bolt, we've got a hex bolt and the hex bolt tells us that it's both, that's the drive style and the head style. So hex bolt, we wouldn't say that it's Phillips or anything, or that it's pan head. It would just be hex bolt, zinc plated. We could say grade 5 here because we know that about it. It is mild steel, and we just said zinc plated, so that's the material, and grade 5 would be the material hardness. And then the last three are the big three: the diameter, the thread count, and the length. So the diameter is 1/2 inch, and I have to notate the inches, dash 13, and the 13 is threads per inch, or TPI, by, and the X here is important, length, 1.5 inches length. This would be the entire proper notation of this bolt. If I took that notation into the hardware store, there's no way they should give me the wrong fastener. Okay, if I look on the side of the box, and this would be the last indicator too. Oh, where'd my box of bolts go? Wait for it. Green box of bolts. Yeah, there it is. Can you grab it? If we look on the side of the box, sorry for the delay there, we've got all the information that we just presented. The size is a 1/2 13 by 1.5. It's a coarse thread bolt. A grade 5 is the marking, and it's a hex head cap screw is what this is called, or a hex head bolt. The only things we don't get here is the material type or that it's zinc plated. But we get the same basic thing on the side of the bolt. And C.